Paper Mario franchise has been around for a long time now. Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64 released internationally in February of 2001. Interesting enough though, Japan got the game half a year earlier in August of 2000, effectively making this August Paper Mario's 20th anniversary. A lot has changed in the past 20 years to this series. It went from a simple engaging RPG to a comedic action-adventure game. Not only has it changed genres, but the way it's written, presented, structured, basically everything has changed since the beginning. In order for you to understand my thoughts completely on Paper Mario The Origami King, I'm going to need to go through my thoughts on each entry in the Paper Mario series. This is just so you know how I view certain aspects of this franchise. That way, when my review is done, you can form your own opinion based off the info I gave you. It'll be kind of like an overview of the Paper Mario series in a way. One thing to note, no spoilers will be shown or mentioned for the Origami King. Starting at the beginning, of course, Paper Mario. The odd thing about this one is, this was the first one I played. I grew up with it. I would then go on to play them all out of order. Anyways, the story goes as follows. Up in Starhaven, the Star Spirits stand to protect the Star Rod, which has the power to grant any wish. Surprise to all, Bowser comes and steals the Star Rod. The Star Spirits are then all scattered across the world by Cammy, and Bowser takes off with the stolen Star Rod, now invincible with its power. Without the Star Rod in its spot, wishes can now not be made true. Back in the Mushroom Kingdom, Mario and Luigi get a letter from Princess Peach about a party happening at her castle. When they arrive at the party, Mario goes to see Peach. Once they get to talking, Bowser's ship rises from out of the ground and takes the castle up to space. Bowser confronts Mario in the castle, and with the power of the Star Rod, Mario gets kicked down and sent back towards home. When Mario lands on the ground, Mario has to be revived by the Star Spirits with the remaining of their power. After a bit, he then discovers he needs to save the Star Spirits, the original protectors of the Star Rod, to stop Bowser. To be honest, the story comes down to Bowser kidnapping Peach, and Mario has to save her, but the way it's presented gives it a ton of charm. I'm okay with Bowser being the main villain in this game, as this is the first Paper Mario game, and at the time this was released, there was only one other Mario RPG style game, and that game was totally different from this one. When you think Mario villain, you think Bowser, and for a first entry in the series, it only makes sense to do it like that. As well, since the story is presented in a unique way, Bowser being the villain is interesting. What this game does do very well is its engrossing characters and dialogue. You got the Koopa Bros, Herring Way, Lady Bo. All these characters are unique in how they're presented. Surprises happen all the time as well. It definitely makes the atmosphere much more alive. Also, Mario can have partners who help him along the way. Every partner has different character traits and abilities with it. Goombario can tattle giving you an enemy's weak point, Sushi can go in water, Bombette can explode cracks in walls, and on. In addition to having unique character and being useful and traversal, partners are also used in turn-based battles. In these battles, Mario can either use his hammer, jump, or use items to defeat enemies. As well, partners can deal additional damage or help in other ways in battle. Then, at the end of a battle, you gain experience points. If you gain 100 of these, you can level up your health, flower points, or badge points. Health obviously allows Mario to take more hits. Flower points are basically just the magic points of Paper Mario. You do more powerful moves with flower points. Then, badge points allow Mario to equip badges he finds along his way. Badges can be found in the world or bought at the shop. These badges can make Mario have higher defense, stronger attacks, or something more specific. Other things to note of Paper Mario is its presentation. It has 2D characters in a pseudo 3D world. That's where the name Paper Mario came from, not because everything was made of paper. The locations you visit in this world aren't the most unique though. You have your desert, jungle, ghost, grass areas. Most of them aren't super special except for the random toy box one. What makes them special though are what's in each area. The areas have new enemies to battle, secrets to find, and puzzles to solve. As well, each area has a star spirit to go after with a nice quest to go along with it. The quest always ends up at some sort of ending dungeon. They're designed fairly well, nothing jaw-dropping but fun. All of the mainline areas are populated with interesting characters that aren't just toads. We'll talk about this later on. In addition, every area is interconnected with each other. You gain access to each world by actually walking to it, taking a train, just in any sort of way they come up with, not just from a map. It gives the game an organic feel. You have to find out how to get to each area. It's nice. Finally, the game's set up in chapters, while there's a main area for each chapter. At the end of each chapter, there's a segment where you have to play as Peach. You get to learn the backstory about what's going on in these segments. These parts were always interesting as you got to figure out what was going on in the background as you were journeying through the world. Just to make sure we got everything covered for the first game here, it had interesting characters, fun surprises, a decent story, an in-depth battle system, a solid presentation, fun quests, an interconnected feel, and secrets and puzzles to find. For some slight cons, some partners aren't very useful in battle, locales aren't very unique, and music is fine but nothing memorable. Overall, a fantastic game. It has to be hard to match this. Never mind. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, the game that won't stop getting praise, and there's a reason for that. I played both this game and Color Splash at the exact same time 3 months ago. Playing them at the same time definitely shows the change in the series. Anyways, the story of The Thousand-Year Door goes as follows. Princess Peach is in the town of Rogueport and runs into a merchant who is selling a box. The owner says the box will only open to those with a pure heart. The box manages to open for Peach, and she gets a hold of the treasure map inside. It said the map will show the way to open the Thousand-Year Door and lead to the treasure. She messages Mario about the treasure map and tells him to get to Rogueport to hunt for it. When Mario gets there, Peach has gone missing. All he knows is he needs to find the 7 crystal stars to get the treasure behind the Thousand-Year Door. There's more backstory they give, but it wouldn't make much sense if I was to try and explain it here. The story is much more involved than the first game. The more dynamic story is what gets me involved in it. Again, not mind-bending, but there's some juicy bits to it. The X-Nauts are the main baddies in this game, and they're great. They're stupid and lovable. While Mario hunts for the crystal stars, the X-Nauts try and mess him up throughout the whole game, and fail. This game is also set up in chapters like the first one, and as such, also has the playable Peach segments again, along with Bowser ones. In the original game, you get some important information from Peach due to Twink being able to relay the info to Mario, but in this game, as the game progresses, the story gets told through mainly what happens with Peach and the supercomputer tech. It's pretty great. Like I mentioned prior, Bowser gets its own segment. It's basically him not getting what he wants. It's pretty funny. Pretty much everything the first Paper Mario was, Thousand-Year Door either does it the same or better. It has more interesting locales, with Rogueport being a fantastic hub area. The aesthetic of it being a rundown port is fantastic. The battle system is now more refined, with new mechanics such as your partner having HP and getting the audience involved. It has just as interesting of characters, more fun surprises, the same interconnected feel, more secrets, more puzzles, more of a lot of other things. This is exactly what a sequel should be. Also, I would just like to point out that this game still looks fantastic to this day, and it's on the GameCube. The Thousand-Year Door also features some solid music. The only con I can think of is there could be a bit too much backtracking at times, like for instance the General White mission. Fantastic game though. So, in simple terms, I love the first 2 games. The next one, however, well, Super Paper Mario is the only game I didn't complete as of this video. I probably got about 70% through the game before I stopped caring. I won't give my full thoughts on it unlike the other games as I never beat it. I'll just give you the story and why I stopped playing it, as my opinion on this game shouldn't be completely valid if I never beat it. Mario and Luigi are notified that Peach has been kidnapped again. Assuming it's Bowser, they head up to his castle to stop it. When they arrive, Bowser doesn't have Peach. Then, out of thin air, a figure appears with Peach kidnapped. The figure is named Count Bleck, and he says he's going to use Peach and Bowser to destroy the world. He knocks out Mario and then sends Peach, Bowser, and Luigi to a wedding. Peach and Bowser are being married, and Count Bleck forces Peach to say yes. A chaos heart is formed from a prophecy that was told. Count Bleck then uses this heart to open a black void to destroy the world. Luigi tries to stop it, but it's too little too late. Meanwhile, Mario is awoken by a weird creature that goes by the name of Tippy. Tippy takes Mario to Flipside, a place that is in between dimensions. He's greeted by Merlin, who tells Mario another side of the prophecy, where Mario can stop the void with the power of the pure hearts. Merlin gives Mario his first heart, and Mario goes off to stop the void. The reason I got so far in the game was its story. Count Bleck is a great villain, but his minions make it even better with a wide range of personalities and some unexpected things. I quit mainly due to the moment-to-moment gameplay. It's like they took a Thousand-Year Door, made it completely 2D, adjusted Mario's jump height to make him jump higher, and made a platformer out of it. The platforming was fine for a short segment in the Thousand Year Door, but as your main way to get around, it was boring after a while. The turn-based combat was what broke up the minor platforming and puzzles up in the first two games. Also, while the 3D mechanic is novel, I kind of grew tired of it. I got annoyed switching from 2D to 3D more than I thought was a fun idea. Some positives I remember though was its dialogue, the large levels, the game being in chapters, having fun surprising moments, and obviously the story. There are multiple playable characters here. You can play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser. This definitely was a highlight of Super Paper Mario. This really helped the game out because of the wide variety of characters. Like I stated, my opinion shouldn't be completely valid as I didn't finish the game, but I feel my reasoning for not finishing it makes sense. I also feel that my opinion is similar to what others felt that didn't like the game a whole bunch. Overall, I thought the game was okay. I know there are many that are fans of Super Paper Mario. I'm only mentioning it so you know what I like and don't like for the Origami King review. Here's a chart of how Paper Mario game stories have gotten more involved as time's gone on. And now here's Sticker Star added to the chart. Paper Mario Sticker Star. This game isn't very good. I actually finished this one and somehow didn't finish Super. Here's the plot. It's the Sticker Festival. Peach is up on stage next to the sticker comet. Bowser comes out of nowhere and breaks the comet. It breaks into 6 different royal stickers and one happens to land on Bowser's head, making him all powerful. He kidnaps Peach. Mario's knocked out. He wakes up. A sticker named Kirsty pledges to help Mario. That's it. No story really is even added during the game. Every game up to this point has had one thing going for it. Its characters and story have all been rock solid. That definitely begins to falter here. Every character, instead of having a unique design, is some form of toad, mainly red. The only problem with that other than visual variety is it makes memorability so much harder if every toad looks the same. If every character in the game looks the same. There are some characters that aren't just toads, but 90% are. It's pretty bad. The dialogue for each character is now written different as well. Instead of making more interesting dialogue, it's much more comedic now. The problem is, the scenarios they have are so bland, it makes the jokes fall flat. Visually, the game went a radically new direction, taking the name Paper Mario literally and making everything out of cardboard and paper. Honestly, I was fine with this. I think it looked good and still looks solid today, but I don't know why they did it in the first place. The battle system in this game though? I find it pretty boring as it's basically spam overpowered stickers and underpowered enemies, as the game gives out way too many stickers, but the one thing I thought they nailed was the reward. In any other Paper Mario game, you'd get EXP. Instead, you got coins, and these coins could be used to buy more stickers. But there are these stickers called things, and these things are very strong forms of stickers. You can get things for finding them in levels in the game. Problem is, they're scattered so sporadically it could be a pain going in and grabbing them when needed. But there's actually a shop where you can purchase these things. And the game happens not to give out too many coins at a time, so you're always trying to conserve the amount of coins you have to buy these things, which can be pretty pricey. Speaking of things, I mentioned they could be used for battles, but they're also used in puzzles and boss battles. Using the right thing sticker in the right scenario is key. That's what makes coins so valuable. But the things themselves, they are unbalanced in battle, which isn't good, and the puzzles with them are always the same. Trying to figure out which thing is needed for a scenario. It can be pretty repetitive. However, the puzzles in general can be pretty good. You can cut out parts of the course to create paths later on to progress, or stickers can be used in spots to make something work. It can be pretty satisfying. Other than that, instead of taking a more interconnected world approach like the first two games, or the open 2D world approach of Super, Sticker Star decided to do it differently. The game is set up in stages and can be accessed through a world map, kinda like in the new Super series. More parts of the map would open up once a stage was cleared by grabbing the sticker star at the end of each level. I wasn't really a fan of this idea as the interconnected feel is what made the world feel alive. What they did with each level was pretty generic stuff most of the time. A desert level, a lava level, a grass level, all generic stuff. The gimmicks to each level aren't very memorable either. All the levels in the world all mesh together as one. In general, a linear set of levels don't work near as well as a diverse, interconnected world for Paper Mario. The music's alright, it has a couple solid tracks, but nothing too memorable, so overall, Sticker Star is just mediocre. Paper Mario Color Splash is the game in the series I want to love the most, but it has some major issues. It maintains the same linear level by level style on the world map from Sticker Star. Nothing's really interconnected. The battle system is even worse than in Sticker Star, if that's even possible. It's horrible as you have to do multiple steps just to take one turn. You first pick your battle cards, then say you're ready, then paint it, then say you're done painting, then swipe up, and then you get the battle. It's dreadful. There's another option where you get to take less steps, but at that point you have to switch between the screen and buttons, and that's just annoying. Combat itself is basically just sticker stars, which of course isn't good on its own. It's very unbalanced. Then the reward for battling is you get to level up your max paint, which isn't really a reward. There's so much paint everywhere anyways, it doesn't matter. Then on top of that, the amount of coins they give you is horrible. They're everywhere, you'll never struggle to get money. I literally almost had 6,000 coins at one point. 6,000! And if you're even struggling to get coins, just go to a Rochambeau temple and bam, you're rich. I had so much money, I actually bought 20 mushrooms and several fin cards, and I was overpowered in battle for a while. Then even the story isn't good. Mario gets a knock on his door at home, and Peach arrived with a letter. The letter was a toad who had been drained of color. So, Mario and Peach set off to the address, Prism Island, which when they arrive find out it's been drained of all of its color. They see a paint can in the middle, hit it a bunch, and find out it's a character named Huey, a talking paint can. Huey says they need to find all the missing paint stars that should be in the central plaza. It's a pretty basic story with not much plot. They even try to add some plot but fail dramatically. After each paint star is found, a memory will play of that paint star before all the color was drained to see what happened. Normally, this wouldn't be a bad idea, but the story was so basic, the cutscenes reveal basically nothing you wouldn't expect. As well, every character is a toad again, but they did a slightly better job here of toads that are more important at having defining looks. Still not the best though, or not good. Now with all the negativity out of the way, this game has some very high parts to it. The writing is fantastic. They once again went for the comedic tone, but instead of sort of doing it, they went all the way. Jokes are every couple of moments. This would fall flat in any other game, but Color Splash has so many goofy scenarios, it works so well. The presentation as well is top notch, going with the paper crafted world again. It looks great in HD. Color Splash's soundtrack I feel is the best in the series. I actively listen to multiple of its themes. The puzzles and tricks the game plays as well are very good. Like Sticker Star where you have to cut out parts of the level, Color Splash does something similar where if you see lines match up, you can walk across the background to progress by cutting it out. These were really fun to do. Unlike Sticker Star, the levels are way more interesting with memorable moments and fun gameplay mechanics. It's in how the level was designed or what odd moment happened during it. There are colorless spots that Mario needs to hit with his hammer to refill it. While it isn't anything special, it gives you something to look out for in the level. There are Toad Squads, where you have to hunt down the squad Toad members and get them to meet back with their leader. You have to find them all as you normally can't progress without a Toad Squad's help. I was fine with this as you could always find the Toads doing really dumb things, which was pretty funny. The boss battles in this game are pretty fun as well. They actually need a bit of planning to figure out. Sometimes you need to figure out a series of steps to beat a boss, or sometimes you just need one fan card, but most of the time it's pretty solid. It's the one time where the combat's actually entertaining. Paper Mario Color Splash did so many things wrong, but also did a lot right. I thought Color Splash was a solid time. It was good, but just good. Now that we've gone for every Paper Mario game, let's see what my perfect Paper Mario game would be. No specific examples from any game will be used for my perfect Paper Mario game scenario, as Origami King will be judged based off of what it is, not what it isn't. So here it is, an interesting story with actively interesting moments, creative or comedic dialogue every chance it gets except when story gets in the way, then story can take center stage, a diverse series of characters with different personalities and a way to tell each one apart, a nice interconnected world, every mainland area that have silly situations and surprising moments, secrets to find out in the world, interesting locales that aren't standard, a battle system that has strategy and fun as well as a meaningful reward for completing one, some way to build your character that feels good, puzzles that feel rewarding to solve, fun dungeons and boss battles to do, and finally, a good looking presentation along with fantastic music. You can tell that my wish list is pretty broad as multiple things could fit in each category. This is so Origami King can be judged on what it is, not by something that it isn't, as I already stated. Origami King cannot be judged as an RPG as it's clearly not what it is. As long as it's fun, I don't care what Origami King is. So here it is. Origami King opens up with Mario and Luigi driving up to Peach's castle. After stopping in Toad Town, you find out they received a letter from Peach asking them to visit the Origami Festival going on in town. Issue is, no one is in town, not even a single toad. They then head up to the castle, and when they enter, the door is shut behind them. Luigi goes in search of the key to the exit, and Mario heads forward to the main foyer of the castle. Peach enters from a door in front, but looks much different from normal. She asks Mario a series of questions, and then says this quote. You then are dropped into the castle dungeon below, where you witness Bowser's minions get folded up into mindless origami. You also meet Olivia, an origami figure who helps you along on your adventure. After a bit of meandering, you run into Bowser, who has been folded up and hung onto a rope. Mario frees him and they all head up to the top of the castle. Mario once again meets up with Peach and a yellow origami shy guy, who actually turns out to be King Ollie, Olivia's brother. After denying the idea of origami taking over, King Ollie summons the 5 all-powerful streamers to lift the castle out of the ground and onto the volcano behind. Mario, Olivia, and Bowser all escape on a clown car. They then try to head back into the castle right after escaping, but Mario and Olivia are repelled out of the clown car by the streamers protecting the castle. They then set off to cut all 5 streamers to stop Ollie from turning the world into origami. This is the first time I can actually say that a new Paper Mario game actually has a story. Now, does it rival that of Super Paper Mario? No, not even close. But I'd say it has something as good or even better than the original's plot. The story you obtain at the beginning is all you get for a while, as different characters like Explorer Toad or Bobby sort of fill in that void. The story is more focused on what happens along the way instead of this huge overarching plot, which is basically what every other Paper Mario game does for the most part. But there is some plot later on, so don't worry on that front. The focus on origami I think works really well, especially in the beginning. The tone at the beginning is kind of dark. Come to think of it, the whole game has a dark undertone if you look hard enough. Anyways, the introductory of origami being a main premise is done so well. You walk up to see a regular old Peach, and instead see a disturbing origami form of her. It's so unnerving. But what I think really sets it up well is the quote she says that I previously mentioned. Seriously, that quote is something you'd see on a shirt. This first situation of origami makes me interpret origami as something to be wary of. Then, when you fall down into the dungeons below, that thought continues as you watch a Goomba go from friendly to wanting to kill. The characters you meet in Origami King are done fairly well. The character of each one I love. I feel they did a really nice job with each personality of the more important ones. My favorite character is Bobby. He's a bit generic at the beginning due to his amnesia, but as it goes along, he evolves into something else. The designs of each one are the basic stock image though. Unless it's a Toad where the more important ones they give unique looks, the other characters are stuck to their stock look, and I just don't see why. It's not really an issue, but it's kind of a weird choice. Here's something I'm kind of mixed on though. The quote-unquote partner characters are sort of regional locked to their specific area they come from. For example, Explorer Toad is stuck in the desert, and if you try to leave, he won't come with. I'm not upset with this, as in context with the story, it makes sense why he would stay. Same with all the other partner characters, just it would have been nice to bring them along with you on your journey. Luigi has a role in this game, and that's always a plus. He sort of does his own thing the whole time, but when he shows up, it's amusing. The more minor characters you meet along the way, I think they did a good job with. Their personalities are different than most and have good dialogue like the other characters. Speaking of dialogue, this game has that in spades. Remember how I said Color Splash had funny over-the-top dialogue? Well, Origami King does it even better. The writing and situations they come up with are so funny. Let's use a specific situation as an example. This one was kind of in the trailers and it was online a lot, so I don't feel bad showing it here. When you first meet Bobby, you're on a gondola riding up to Autumn Mountain. Bobby mentions he has amnesia, and Olivia says they can help him by having Bobby come with on their adventure. Bobby says he would just be a burden, and then Olivia cuts him off and says she agrees. I'll let the rest of the clip play. funny when you say no, Bobby's begging to you at the end to take him with you. And when you also say no, the music just stops and awkward silence just happens. The whole game has funny moments like this spread throughout. Of course, during moment-to-moment gameplay, it has witty dialogue spread all the way through. It's just moments like this when you first meet Bobby who really make Origami King shine. There are tons of surprises and moments like this in Origami King, it's great. The gameplay of Paper Mario The Origami King isn't anything mind-blowing, but can be fun. New to Paper Mario is the addition of open-ended levels, where there are more offshoots to a path than a standard Paper Mario game. I really like this design as it inspires one to explore each offshoot, each nook and cranny of a level for secrets. You look for toads, treasure chests which can contain collectibles, heart upgrades, and fill in confetti spots. More on confetti later. Finding toads are the main thing you look for. They can be hidden behind a sign, in a tree, or in an origami shape. When you find one, they give you a comedic one-liner and then run off and do whatever. I find them fun and satisfying to look for, but one issue with them is they're all basic stock toad designs. I think it would have been pretty fun to help out like Shy Guys or something instead of just toads. Even though there are other races in this game other than toads, there are a lot of toads in this game. What toads can get you are toad points, which can unlock stuff in the gallery. Also, they can be useful in battle, but we'll get to that momentarily. Treasure chests contain statues that resemble things found throughout the game. They have their own description and everything, which makes them pretty unique. These are probably the most well-hidden collectibles throughout the game, so they're fun to find. Heart upgrades are the interesting ones. They can be found in a multitude of ways by completing a side mission, or even fighting a well-hidden toad. Finding them can make Mario more powerful as well as have more health. All of the stuff just mentioned is side stuff you look for along the way. You are always moving towards some sort of place to achieve something. It always keeps you motivated to keep going. The other type of gameplay that exists is the ring-based battles that take place. The idea of them is you have to move this ring around to get enemies lined up for an attack. You get a certain amount of moves based on how many turns it takes to solve a puzzle. If you line up the enemies correctly, you can normally finish the battle in a turn, maybe 2 if you aren't equipped with the right weapons. So it's like a puzzle if you solve it, and a battle if you fail. This concept by itself I love. I wouldn't want to see it in another game, but for just this one time it's fine. The only major issue I have with the battling itself is it could be ridiculously easy at times. There's an option to summon toads to help solve a ring-based puzzle for you, but at the cost of coins. Thing is, they give out way too many coins. Like, you thought Color Splash was bad? Oh no. Paying 999 coins out of 20,000 is nothing. Anyways, I feel it takes some incentive to solve the puzzle if you could just pay to have it done. I tried to avoid using it, but there were a fair amount of times where I just didn't care. An easy fix to this would have been just to add an easy mode, like what Odyssey had. Furthermore, there are different weapons, items, and badges that can be used in battle. I feel they actually nailed the weapons and items. Some of them are of course the default jump and hammer, but you'll want to use the more powerful versions of these weapons in fights. If you use them too much though, they'll break over time. If you fail a puzzle, then you'll want to strategize with the weapons and items you have to take out the most enemies you possibly can in a turn. You may take some serious damage if you're not careful. Though, the smaller issue is you can heal rather easily, as mushrooms are abundant here as well as healing benches. I don't consider this a huge issue though, since the battles are more puzzles. It feels satisfying to solve them rather than if they're a hard fought fight. They also technically have badges, but they're pretty bare bones. You can get more health, more time in battle, and more defense, and that's it. To be honest, I would have rather them just leave badges out of the game if they're going to go all the way with them. Just having those 3 types of badges in my opinion isn't very engaging. The point of badges was so you could build your character to your liking. With these it's just pay money, get extra health, pay money, get more time, and etc. Now I may like the battles themselves, but that doesn't mean the reward is worthwhile. At the end of a battle, you get 2 rewards, coins and confetti. Obviously coins are used in shops to purchase things, but confetti is different. Remember the blank spots in Color Splash? Confetti is essentially that, but instead of leaving a spot white, the spot is a hole that needs to be patched. I like this much more as there are many more points where you need to fill the hole to progress instead of being mainly optional like in Color Splash. At the beginning of the game, your bag of confetti you carry is very small and needs to be refilled regularly. This is great as fighting enemies is an easy way to get a bunch of confetti at once. The problem is, by probably the 3rd streamer, the combat begins to drag as your pouch you carry has been upgraded twice to hold much more confetti, and therefore don't need to battle to get it. It becomes a bit of a drag by the end to do normal optional battles. When a battle is mandatory and blocks progression, I'm much more motivated to do it as I have a reason, unlike the optional ones. If there were some form of experience points gained from these battles, it would solve those problems completely. It's a real shame too, I like this ring mechanic. I can at least say it's 10 times better than Color Splash's combat. The boss battles, however, those are great. You still have the ring, but you have to use arrows to direct Mario where to go. Every boss has a weakness, and once you exploit it, attack it when they're down. But you also need to be wary as some attacks may not work in certain situations. All of the bosses have different strategies and mechanics to them. What I like the most about these battles is there are multiple ways to set up an attack against the boss. You could go one way and heal and get the on switch turned on so you can use the fast fold arms later on, or you could use the grab ×2 attack and land a devastating blow. These battles are all about experimentation and they're really good. I will say one minor negative is the bosses themselves. The main ones are just art supplies. Like why? Could have just gotten a bit more creative here. The other type of bosses in the game are the developmental bosses. These boss fights are also done really well. When you beat these bosses, you gain their power and are then able to progress on with the area. These are super fun though, definitely a highlight of the game. Easily the best boss battles in the series here. The dungeons leading up to the bosses are hit or miss. Some of them I liked and some of them were fairly basic. You definitely aren't going to be wowed by any of them. The puzzles I thought were solid aside from one thing. The 1000-fold arms is a power Mario receives at the beginning of the game, and he's able to lift, pull, and push different parts of a level with this. It's fine at first, but by the end I feel like they begin to use it way too often. The presentation is gorgeous. The papercraft world is still present, which I still like. It looks phenomenal in sections. Origami King runs well for the most part, though there are some lag spikes every once in a while. In handheld, for the couple hours I played, it ran reasonably well, so good job there. The music is also great. A lot of really catchy tunes in here. It's hard to say if it's my favorite in the series, but just know it's good. The thing that made me the most happy though was the return of interconnected areas. The map from Color Splash and Sticker Star I found lazy and boring. As I mentioned a while back, this really helps the game feel alive. Like everything is a part of the world. It's just fun to travel to a place by exploring instead of taking a world map. The locales you visit I find unique aside from the obvious first one. You got a Japanese world, a dark desert, and on. Now some smaller things I want to touch up on. Like I mentioned before, you get way too many coins, but that wasn't always the case. At the beginning, they give you a lot of coins, but everything is so expensive it worked out fine. But for some reason, by the end, they just decide to give out thousands of coins at one time without a care in the world. It ruined the whole system they had going. This really only happens around the last 10 hours of the game, so it's not the worst, but like, why? That's an easy thing to fix. Another small thing to note, this game has so many different gameplay scenarios to go through. I don't want to spoil them, but I'll say they're all fun. I guess I'll just show the fishing one on screen as an example. Going for 100% completion here is made much easier thanks to the menus and accessories you can equip. The menus lay out how close you are to getting all the hidden blocks, toads, etc. Then you can use accessories to make finding these things much easier. A little bell may ring when you're near a certain object, or an alarm might go off when you're really close to one. This makes going for 100% much easier. Paper Mario the Origami King was not what I was expecting in the slightest. I expected a more refined version of Color Splash, and from the outside looking in, it really looks that way. The world is still paper themed, the gameplay still boils down to hitting things with your hammer, but that's not only what Origami King is. It's an adventure game that throws so many different things at you, a ton of surprises, amazing boss battles, witty dialogue, an interesting story, epic moments, fun exploration, characters with engaging personalities. I can go on. Just because the battles can be annoying at times doesn't mean to look past this game. If you're just somebody who wants an adventure that will make you laugh, and possibly a little of everything else, this is for you. I really liked Paper Mario the Origami King. Sure, it's not my favorite in the series, but its charm brings it a long way. That wish list I made earlier on in the video, Origami King hit a lot of the points I asked for. I made that wish list and the overview of the series part 3 weeks before the game came out, so I had no idea if it would turn out well. I honestly just can't wait to see how they'll advance the series down the line. I'll be there for it. Thanks for watching.